welcome to episode 14 of His and Her Bodies, Barbells and Bagels. It is a her only episode today because I've got on a special guest with me who is a female social media influencer as well as online coach. And she was also a personal trainer. So I'm going to have the amazing Sami Rose Fitness on today with me to discuss with you online coaching, how to transition into it, how to be a good online coach, what it's all about, living the lifestyle, and also the pros and cons that come with it, which a lot of people are not aware of. And then also we'll be discussing body image and social media pressure on coaches and just anyone in general that is online in the social media space and in the fitness space. So, welcome Sami Rose to the podcast. You are our, I think, second female we've had on. We've only had two ladies, so kind of a big deal, you know. We've had lots of blokes.
So exciting. I feel so honoured to be part of it.
I know. We've had a lot of the guys in the fitness industry, like we've had, you know, Lane Norton and Eric Elms and all of these kind of big guys up here that are very science-based, but we haven't really had anyone on yet that is a female, what I would call influencer as well as coach, which I think is really important because the influencer space is growing so much and there's so many people out there to follow now, so many women, and I think that people get a little lost in who they're following and following the people for the right reasons. So I guess I want you to give the audience listening today, if they don't know who you are, as I'm sure a lot of the guys probably that listen to our podcast, I think it's about 60% female and 40% male. So I think this will be a great podcast for the guys too, because they can learn what females are going through and what pressures are put on us in society and on social media and maybe give us a little bit of a break. So I think
absolutely.
So I want you to tell me, I guess let's start off with the surface and then we'll dig going back a little bit more. So at the moment, what do you do? What are you passionate about? And yeah, what's your main business today?
Well, my name is Sami. I am primarily, my main income is my health and fitness coaching. So I'm an online based personal trainer. I did used to be working in a gym, but now I'm exclusively online, which is very exciting. So that is I'd love to say 9 to 5, but you know what that life is like. It's not exactly those hours. But pretty much a 7-day-a-week job. And I guess alongside that, I guess you could call me a fitness influencer.
Yeah, you are.
I don't like to label myself as that because I obviously have, well, you know, I have a bit of a following, but I don't consider myself an influencer in the way that, you know, how a lot of influencers are there to like promote products and bits and pieces. Exactly. I don't like to be that kind of an influencer. Yeah. So I primarily am a health and fitness coach with a little bit of an Instagram following.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it, because I do think you sometimes think influence and think everything on their feed is to promote something. And you know, that's not what we want to think about, but I think it's good to see it as you're an influence on females to train rather than females to buy a product. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference. So I guess the big one, and a lot of people ask about, is, you know, how long have you been coaching for and how did you kind of transition into the coaching space? How did that come about?
I get this a lot actually from a lot of people that are, I guess, online coaching is a little bit not brand new, but you know, it's definitely becoming more of a thing and more people are getting into it and are asking for advice. Yeah. So I've been a certified PT for about 3.5 years now. Yeah. And I've been online 2 and a bit. Yeah. I started, hold on, where are we? No, mid 2015 I started. So I'd be 3 years on now, which is exciting. I feel like I should have had a little anniversary.
Have to.
But yeah, but I started off on a very small scale. So I was still working full time when I started online fitness coaching. I was just getting a lot of inquiries through Instagram. I didn't have a huge following to begin with. I think I probably started online coaching when I had maybe like 12 or so thousand followers. So I only had a few clients at a time. That was all I could really handle. But I was working full-time at Lorna Jane head office, so that was keeping me quite busy. And I just started doing this on the side because it was something that I was really passionate about. I didn't have enough time because I had a full-time job. You know, I wanted to use my PT certification a little bit more, but I couldn't commit to working full-time in a gym. So I thought this was a really good way to be able to help people with, you know, a little bit more flexibility of time. And I'd say probably the first 6 months, I did this on the side alongside my full-time job, and then I ended up absolutely falling in love with it even more than I ever thought I would. So then I ended up quitting my job, getting a full-time job in a gym. I did kind of leverage my time more towards online though. So I did more hours with online clients than face-to-face PT, but it was just really nice to be able to do both.
Yeah.
And now so from the end of 2016, I finished up at the gym I was working at. And ever since then, I've been 100% online.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I guess what sparked your actual passion for health and fitness? Like what were you doing with your own training and nutrition back then when it kind of really became a big part of your life?
Well, I kind of fell into PT, to be honest. So I was on my own health and fitness journey. I was losing weight myself. I joined a boot camp, which I think was 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. And one of the prizes that you were eligible for at the end of the boot camp little 12-week challenge was that they picked someone that they thought had a lot of potential to give them a Cert 3 to be like a group fitness instructor. So I was like, cool, like I'll put an expression of interest in. I don't know if I'd ever do it. And they ended up picking me, and, they obviously saw potential in me, which was amazing. So I actually was given my Cert 3 like sponsorship. And that's kind of how I got into my PT course. I had wanted at the time to just do some group fitness stuff because I was really passionate about that at the time. So I was really hoping to like focus more on boot camps. But as I learned more, I decided I wanted to do my certificate 4, and then I wanted to keep learning. So it kind of all just snowballed from there. So I guess in a way it fell into my lap. I never thought I would be a personal trainer, especially for the people that knew me 7 or 8 years ago. It's a complete 180 to who I am now. I was never into fitness. I was never into sports.
It's a big life transformation that kind of fell into then coaching being a full-time job, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's more, the more I learnt for myself, the more I wanted to share that with other people and have other people feel the feeling that I felt when I was achieving my goals. And I just kind of wanted to be that person to help push people.
Awesome.
So yeah, it all just kind of snowballed from there.
Kind of just happened. Yeah. I don't know, like I haven't met a lot of coaches that have always just wanted to be a coach, like or be a personal trainer. Like I don't think it kind of like, I wasn't like that for sure. I thought I was going to be a high school phys ed teacher. Like I didn't
well, see, that's still very sport minded though.
I've been always that way, but that's, I have a bit of a different past to you. So I guess let's go a little bit more into your background. So then before that, I've been doing this for 11 years now, but probably in the online space for the last 5 or 6, probably one of the first that was doing the online stuff. But I fell into the online. So I was doing PT, capped out in the gym, could not take on any more clients. I was competing and I was traveling a shitload. And it was, how do I help my clients whilst I'm away? And how do I make sure that they stay on track? So I was like, hey, maybe I should write them programs while I'm away. Maybe I should make a little check-in form while I'm away. And that's kind of how it started, and I fell into it. So it's funny how things move. And it was also like, how the fuck do I make money when I'm traveling? Competing is costing me an arm and a leg, and I want to keep my clients happy, but I also need to make an income. And a lot of people forget that if you're a PT and you're not there for a week, you make no money. Like you
don't get holiday pay and all of that.
No, exactly. Whereas with online, that's one of the pros. And I think we'll talk about some of the pros and cons later on as we get into it as well, with online versus PT versus the whole entrepreneur lifestyle. Because it sounds very glamorous, but in reality, it's not. It's good, but it's not as glamorous as what I think people think. So let's go back to, I guess, your health and fitness journey, because I know obviously something that we both have experienced is comp prep has been a big part of our, I guess, growing our social media and, reaching people, and also just going through that experience. Now, it's not always a positive one. Sometimes, it's pros and cons with competing. So when did you actually, I guess, take it from losing weight and going through this kind of transformation to then going to the extreme and then competing and getting ultra lean, and then kind of to where you are now? Kind of talk me through that a little bit, because I think that's interesting for a lot of women.
Well, I guess timeline wise, my like fat loss transformation kind of journey started around 2011, 2012. That's where I was at my heaviest, which was about 75 kilos, give or take. I had come out of a really bad relationship and I was just feeling really shitty about myself. And I found myself single and was like, okay, I don't know if I feel comfortable about, trying to go out and meet new people when I feel really bad about myself. So that was a really big catalyst for me as to trying to turn my life around, get a little bit healthier. I never had any like huge weight loss goals. Like I never thought I would end up competing or anything like that. I kind of just wanted to feel a little bit better about myself. So that's where I had started back then. So I started with like a boot camp and just trying to get more regular with the gym and eating a little bit cleaner. And, you know, clean eating was very big back then. That was like the thing. So, you know, I was very much into that. And it all just kind of, I think, as I progressed in my own journey and as I learned more, I wanted to learn even more. And I was just fascinated with all the ways that you could train and all the ways that you could approach a diet. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to do it, because it just made me feel so good to be putting positive energy into myself after, you know, kind of a shitty period. So, you know, I spent probably a few years doing that. That's when I did the boot camp and got my certification. So I did that part-time for about 6 months, my actual PT course. And I kind of sat on it for a little while. I think I received my certification, it was end of 2013 or early 2014. And I probably sat on it for about a year, where I did some boot camps here and there, but I didn't really take it super seriously. Because I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do and if I wanted to do it full time. So I was kind of just working, doing like a boot camp a week, you know, teaching that. And I don't know, I kind of just stumbled across the whole competing thing, and I had gone pretty far into my like fat loss goals. I think I was probably around 62-ish kilos. So I'd lost, you know, 13 to 15 kilos already completely on my own. And I had stumbled across, it was actually a friend of a friend that was competing. She did one of the INBA shows. And this would have been, like probably late 2013, early 2014. So around that time I got certified.
That, doesn't it?
I know. I remember being there and sitting in the audience and being like, this is just something of a whole nother level. Like I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never been into sports. I'd never been like super into gym or anything like that. And I was just like, these people just look so happy and confident on the stage. I mean, little did I know about the process behind it, but you know, everyone on the day just seemed so fucking proud of themselves to be up there. And I just wanted that feeling. I was like, I think this is it. This is that one thing that's just going to like push me to really achieve something big. I didn't realize, I guess, at the time that, you know, you couldn't look that way and stay that way. So for me, it was, I think for me, like at the time, I was just like, cool, like I want to look like that. I don't know if I can ever get abs, but like, let's try. So that's kind of what got me into competing. I had probably given it maybe at least 6 months of thought. Like I watched a couple of shows before I ended up contacting a coach. And I started prepping for my first show. It was very end of 2014, and I competed May 2015 was my very first show. And then from there I did like, how many shows did I do? I think 9 shows in like 2 years from then. And the last one that I did was Arnold Classic last year, so March last year.
Yes,
I know. Well, that's actually how I found you. I think from my I never
on something.
It was actually my first Arnold Classic, so 2016, and you were coaching one of the girls that was competing against me, and she was standing right next to me. And so when I'd like found her on social media, and I was like, who is her coach? And I found you, and that's how I started following you. Funny little story. But so I was doing that for a while, and I guess you know, now I'm not really so much in that scene. So I've definitely been in a few different like phases of my own personal like journey. As much as I hate that word, it sounds so cringy sometimes, but you know, we're all on a journey.
Life is a journey. Exactly. And I guess like, how did you find, because even though we're not going to make this whole podcast about comp prep, but I think it's an important one to touch on, because I think a lot of coaches always say to me, and I've had this, I had a meeting with a coach the other day, we had a bit of a mentoring session, and she said to me, do you feel like it's important for me and my business to compete? And I said, fuck no. I was like, if you're not interested in it, do not do it, because your client base is going to look at what you do. And this is what I've noticed, because I haven't competed in 4 years. And my business, if anything, has been better than it ever has. When I competed, I thought competing was the thing that helped my business, when in actual fact, I had less time to focus on my clients. I was giving them less energy. I wasn't, you know, you're moody. This was when I was doing bad preps and many of them as well. So, and then the other fact was that I was only enticing people that wanted to compete. And I realized that I was blocking myself off from amazing females that just, you know, want to go on a weight loss journey, or want to just get strong, or want to progress their lifestyle. And that's the stuff that's long term. So you're getting a lot of comp clients that they're looking at this short-term goal and thinking they can look like that forever, and it's highs and lows. Whereas your lifestyle clients are so much more, happy all the time, so to speak.
Yeah.
Their struggles. But I think that as a coach, I personally don't think it's important to compete to be a good coach. But at the same time, if you ever want to coach comp prep clients, you need to compete. I 100% think that.
I completely agree.
On competing?
I think if you're passionate about it, it's great to be doing it to show that passion. Because I think people are really interested in following people's journeys. So I can't talk badly about my competing experience in that regard, because had it not been for me competing, I probably wouldn't have the social media follling that I have today.
Absolutely.
Because it was very much built upon me documenting my journey and people following what I was doing. And, like competing was well established by the time I started, but I think I was kind of on the early end of when it was really a buzz on social media. Absolutely. So in terms
now
of
it's like everyone's competing online.
Everyone's competing, yeah. But I was probably like on that forefront of people really like documenting their prep. There wasn't a lot of people that were like talking about it on social media. As a normal person, you kind of knew about those big like fitness people, that like the fitness models and magazines and things like that. But I think from an everyday perspective, that was kind of what really helped me gain that following at the time, just through exposure. So I have to be grateful, I guess, in that regard, because firstly, it taught me a lot. And secondly, it did give me exposure that I now benefit from. But I definitely don't think that you
as well, like people have gone through that or are thinking about it. It makes you be able to offer your personal opinion on it too, rather than people that give opinions on comp prep that have never competed. That kind of does because it's like, hang on a minute, don't hate on something you've never done, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, I think it's helpful for perspective, but I don't think that you need to be a competitor. You don't need to be a competitor to get a social media following. You just have to be interesting and get people to want to follow you. And you don't have to do it to be a good coach. And if anything, like you said, I think I'm probably a better coach now that I'm not competing, because I have more time for my clients. I have more energy. I am probably a little bit more balanced in my approach with my clients. I focus a lot more on mindset and just like trying to really relate to them. I think people also relate to me a lot better just as a person on social media. I even actually had a few people who ended up signing up with me as clients that had kind of said, oh, look, I actually unfollowed you for a little while when you were competing because I found that you were just like super, super intense, or you were really hard on yourself. You were crying because you
got to push.
And you were getting really obsessed with, being leaner. And I found that really triggering, but I'm so glad that you're back to a normal person and, I love what you're doing now and I'm going to sign up with you. So I think like receiving that kind of feedback has been really reassuring to me, because it was almost scary at the time not competing anymore and wondering like, was it going to affect my business? But if anything, my business is actually thriving
now.
Even more since I stopped competing. So I think it's definitely not something that you need to be a coach. It's just how you tackle it as a person and how you can balance everything, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because I've been in the opposite mindset the last 6 months, where I've wanted to get back on stage for my own personal journey, and I haven't wanted to do it or gone all in because I've been worried that I'll lose my audience, that people will not follow me because they're like, well, you've been all about strength and empowering women and this and that, and not so much about body image the last 4 years, especially new people that weren't following me back when I competed. And I've been so worried that people are going to be deterred. And the only way that I could get over that fear was by going, well, it's all about how you portray competing and the message that I give. And I don't put up posts being like, this is my whole life. This is everything to me. It's like, this is a compliment to it. And as soon as I realized that and kind of had to let go of that judgment, but that's an interesting thing that you touched on, that those comments to you, because I remember the same. I had girls inbox me when I started more doing powerlifting, and they were like, oh, I really enjoy following you now because, you're strong and you're not as much about image or selfies or this or that. And it's a hard one, because you appreciate the comments, but then at the same time, you can't let it dictate your behavior, which is, I know something you struggled with as well, because it's like, well, I want to do this for me. So I've got to, not care about their opinions, but at the same time, if they're saying something kind, it's like, it's a hard one. Like, how do you kind of navigate? And I know it's probably something that we both struggle with, and I would say all females probably struggle with this, is if someone gives you a compliment, but it's kind of like a negative as well, because they've kind of said, you know, you're doing this now, but I didn't like what you did before. But if that thing before made you happy, then it's like,
yeah,
it's like we're not going to please everyone.
Yeah, I think that's something that I'm personally really struggling with at the moment. Maybe more so than ever, because you know, I went through that period of competing. That was what I was about, and people followed me if they were interested in that. And then I transitioned over into being more about balance and a holistic approach, and, you know, not focusing so much on looks. And that was like quite well received by a lot of people. But then now I've almost like created this image that I'm more about that. And so then I'm very tentative to, I mean, not that I want to compete again, but even just to share any like fat loss goals or anything like that, I'm very nervous to talk about anything that might be seen as like a shift in my direction. And I think like that's a really difficult one to navigate. I think you've done really well with it in terms of like sharing your comp prep. I think you've been realistic in your approach and all of that. So I think that's been amazing. And obviously people are really interested in what you're doing. I'm really hesitant though, because I worry a lot that people have said, oh, when you're prepping, I couldn't relate. And now I like you more, that you're a little bit bigger and you're more, you know, relatable to me. And now I'm like, oh, what if I wanted to lose weight? Or what if I decided to compete again, which is not on the cards, but but you know, what if one day I decide I do want to compete again? Like if that's what I want to do, like I'm very, it's something that I think about a lot. I just worry about, you know, am I painting a particular picture of myself that people are like, this is what you are, and what if I deviate from that? So I'm quite like, I think that's something that's been weighing on my mind a little bit recently, because I just don't want to box myself into a corner. And I think as humans, we want to change and grow and evolve and go in different directions. And what if I don't even want to do fitness anymore one day? Like what if that's just not my passion anymore? Like, you know, I want to be able to do what I want to do. And I think it's really important to try and like dissociate yourself with like people's perceptions of you, and try and just do your own thing. And if people embrace it, that's great. Like that's what we're here for. You know, we want to be accepted and be part of a group, but if people don't like you, you know, you still just have to do what you want to do.
I think you just pretty much gave yourself your own pep talk.
Go me, pat myself on the back.
And sometimes it's speaking about it, you come to those right conclusions, because exactly that, like, you know, it is challenging when somebody sends you a message and they're like, I don't like you because of this and you're doing that now. And it's like, you know what? Number one, the people that send those messages are probably not going to be someone that I'm going to want to work with.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, I've learned to just go, you know what? The people that accept me for me will accept that I'm growing, changing, evolving, like you said, like any other human being. And if we're not allowed to shift our goals or change our direction, and you don't like that and it doesn't suit your schedule, then probably not someone that needs to follow along. Like I think be proud and clap for people when they change direction in life or achieve something, because it does create, you know, there's a lot of fear around change. So if somebody's taking that leap or that step, then we should give them a clap. Even if they fail, who cares? Like at least they're making and taking that risk. So, and I think the big thing was, the funny thing was, I was not going to put a single thing up about comp prep. I was actually going to keep it all under wraps and not even post like photos from the show or anything. Just go and do it for me.
But see, I think that's an even worse thing, because then it's like we feel like we have to hide a part of ourselves. And that's exactly what I've been, you know, I didn't want to talk about, like, for anyone that doesn't know, like, I'm now being coached. I'm part of Team Round. So, you know, I didn't really want to share a lot about it, because I didn't want to open up the floodgates of people being like, you're a coach, why can't you coach yourself? Or what are you trying to do? Are you trying to prep again? And are you not about what you were about before? And, you know, all of those things. I think it's like, it's a shame that sometimes there's things that make us hesitate about what we're sharing, when, you know, you and I are very much the same in that we share a lot of what we are doing. You know, I try not to be as personal as I was at some point, but you know, I share a lot of my life on social media, probably too much in many people's opinions, but
so that's their opinion, not yours, you know?
Yeah, but, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, we want to share what we're doing. And I think that's why people follow us, because they connect to us as people. And I think when we get in our own heads about what people say in terms of changing direction or what are we doing, or if they have an opinion on something, you know, it's sad that we have to worry about hiding things that are important to us as people, because we are people. Like, we're not just a coach or a fitness influencer, you know, like, we are not one dimensional. And I think it's a very fine line for people who are in the fitness industry, because I feel like we almost everything we say has to be from a coach's perspective, and we can't almost be people anymore. You know, we can't make mistakes, or we can't have differing opinions. Yeah. And I think that's a real shame if you thought that you didn't want to share your comp prep journey because you know, you're worried about what people said. Well, that's what you're doing. And if people like following you, they should want to support you in that. And if they don't, they should just unfollow and not leave mean comments.
And the thing is, like, I had that fear, and a big thing with fear is that until you make a change, you don't know if that fear is going to lead you in a positive direction or a negative. And it was funny, as soon as I posted about it, I got nothing but love. Like, I'm sure there's some people that, you know, behind the scenes are saying shit, but I had no one message me anything negative. I had none of that. And to be honest, I barely get negativity. I'm really lucky that all the people that do follow me, fingers crossed, are kind people, and I will just block and delete motherfuckers. So, like, no worries doing that. But, you know, so I'd rather have a small following and an engaging following and people that really care than having, I think I would get overwhelmed if I was someone who had 1 million followers or even 100,000.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
I take my hat off to them, because they've got to deal with much more negativity. They've got to deal with, a lot of positivity, but at the same time, you know, sometimes the higher you get with your following, the more pressure there is. And I think that that's something that, you know, I'm definitely not a big deal. And then if we look at other people in the fitness industry, you know, like, you know, we both know people like Lauren Simpson, and she's a lovely girl and a great person. And I don't know how she deals with it sometimes. And again, I look at her comments sometimes and they're mostly positive. I don't know if someone goes in and filters and deletes the negative ones or anything, but I'm sure she gets it. And, you know, I'd love to have her on here too and see how she handles those things.
Yeah.
It can't be easy. So I think that the message that we're trying to say to anyone listening to this podcast is, number one, if you want to be an online coach and build a social media presence, you need to have a strong personality to be able to handle that, because you are going to put yourself out there for judgment, and you just have to accept that. If you're not ready to be judged, have any negative shade thrown your way, any of that, then don't do it. Number one.
I mean, you can be an online coach without a big social media following, but it's more so
as well. In day and age, let's be real. Like, social media is such a big part of an online business. If you're a personal trainer, slightly different. You're in the gym, you meet people, you get leads, all of that. But if you're going to be an online coach, what's the first thing that people ask you when you meet you? What's your Instagram? You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a coach. Cool. What's your Instagram? They barely ever ask what's your website anymore. Like, you know, and it was funny because I was having this chat with Sean, like my partner, and Sean hates social media. And I said to him, like, you know, his business was a little bit stagnant a couple of months ago. We had a big chat about it. I was like, look, we're building a house. We've got goals. We've got things to tick off. I want to have a baby. You know, that means I can't work as much, money, blah, 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 all that fucking adulting. And, you know, I said to him, like, you need to pull your finger out with social media. And he started doing Insta stories, and he's picked up like 6 new clients in the last couple of months just from that. So it's not because they see the social media and they go, oh, wow, he's using social media. That's not it. They connect with him as a person and go, oh, wow, he's intelligent, he's educational, oh, he's more than just a PT. So I think that if you use your social media right for driving your brand and your direction and what you're trying to do, then, you know, it's your call. He just didn't want to make his personal. Whereas me and you, I think people connect with us because we are personal. Like, the messages that you'd get and I get would be like, I love you because you're real, you know?
Absolutely. And I think, like, for us, like, that's a really important part of our branding, is that we are relatable and that people choose us as a coach because they connect with us and, you know, whatever we're going through, you know, we can sympathize with them and they can, you know, relate to us. And, like, that's why I chose you as my coach, because I knew that, like, I know you, I'm familiar with, you know, the way you do things, because that's what I've seen on social media. And obviously we're friends as well. But, you know, I think it's really important to choose a coach that you personally connect with, not just that they're the smartest, because the smartest coach doesn't necessarily mean the most supportive coach.
No.
So I think in terms of the support level, it's really important to get to know what personality your coach is. You know, some people don't need a super supportive coach, and that's cool. Like
some people just need the education, and some people need the support and less of the education because it confuses them. Like
exactly. So I think that is the really big benefit to having a social media following, whether you post a lot or not. I think it just gives people an idea of who you are, what you're about, what they can expect from you as a coach, you know. And I think that the image that you portray of that is really important, as long as it aligns with your business, and that the information that you're putting out on your social media is what you would expect your clients to follow. For example, you know, it's not that your social media is you going out partying all the time, but, you know, you're talking about health and fitness, or vice versa. You know, you're not overly strict with your clients, but you're like hardcore shreds or something. You know, it's not relatable and it doesn't make sense to your business. So I think, you know, things do have to be aligned, but they don't have to be overly personal.
Yeah, they don't have to be so structured that people can tell that you've really thought out every single story. Like, I'll always just ramble on story. But I think that, again, it depends, like you said, what type of coach you want to be. And for Sean, he wants to mainly be an educational coach, someone that's super smart about training specifically. And he loves being a PT. So his videos, and I said to him, well, a lot of your videos need to be you in the gym with clients, or you training. For you talking about mindset, not really what you need to do, and he doesn't want to do it anyway. So again, it aligns
exactly
what he likes, and then what you put out there, you're going to get more clients that align with that. So if you're putting out content you're also not passionate about and you're kind of faking it, then you're going to get people that want to do that, and like, that's not good for you and it's not good for your business. So I think with social media, and that was probably one of the questions that somebody did ask, was dealing with the negativity online. And also like what to post about was definitely something. I know I have content blocks all the time. Do you get content blocks where you're like, what the fuck do I post today?
But I actually use you know how you can like bookmark, like save captions and things. If I see someone's post that's really interesting to me, I'll always bookmark it, so that, like, not to copy their caption or anything, but just in terms of like, an idea, or, you know, they've used a specific quote that's given me an idea. So I have a lot of things bookmarked, so that if I'm in a rut and I have nothing to post, I mean, I try and post at least like once a day. Sometimes I don't, if I'm like absolutely stuck and I don't have a photo or anything. But, you know, if I feel like I want to post something and I don't have an idea, I'll usually just scroll through my like saved posts and just try and get some inspiration from there, you know, think of a topic and then just go from there. So for me, that's always been really helpful. You know, I try not to take anything of anyone else's and copy anything, but, you know, I think, you know, someone will talk about a particular topic and I'm like, yes, I want to talk about that at some point. I'll wait until I've got the right photo to match it, or, you know, I'm in that particular mood, and then that will kind of help. So in terms of content creation, that's been really good.
That's a good idea. And I think I kind of do the same with like, we do the same with our podcast actually. Like if we're stuck for podcast ideas, I don't like to read other people's posts sometimes because it makes me get their thoughts in the head, but I'll read the first 2 lines or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's a good topic, but I don't want to delve too much. Same with videos on YouTube. Like I'm really good friends with like Paul Revelia, and him and Lauren Conlon have a great podcast, and I'll see some of their headlines, the topics, and we'll just do similar topics, but we're talking from our perspective, and there's nothing wrong with that because I haven't even listened to it. Sometimes I'll try to listen to it till after we record, and then I'm like, oh sweet, we ended up talking about how because they're so similar. But I think you know, going back to who you are as a coach, because I think it's important for online coaches to be clear on who they are and what they're about. And it's okay if you change as a person, but in terms of like, still make that clear. So if you're transitioning what you're doing as a coach, transition that in your branding. Because I definitely think that I used to be more like just getting people shredded for summer, getting people comp lean. That was what I used to do. And now I'm more transitioning. So I'm making sure that my branding moves with that in terms of content. That's important. So it's okay to change. Don't ever feel like you are stuck as a coach, because your audience will probably grow and evolve with you. Like, for example, like, I've got clients that have been with me for 8 years. And all my clients are around the kind of similar age to me. I'd say my client age range would be 25 to 35, 40-ish. And half of them are now talking about having kids. So I had a fear that if I got pregnant and have a kid, which is what we're planning on, that my audience I would lose. And then I had to think, well, no, because they're all going to start going through that.
Yeah, exactly.
it's all part of that journey and that growth. And if you worry about what people are going to think if you change, they might be changing in their life too, and that might spark some positivity for them, and them actually getting passionate about going, yeah, hey, I saw Sami change and focus on fat loss for a couple of months. I'm going to do that now because I've been a little lazy and I need to get back into it, and all of those sort of things. So I think that you going on this little mini sort of a fat loss kick, and it's not even about that. Like when we chatted about coaching, it was more so the reasoning. And I think this is interesting for coaches to listen to, because like you said, a lot of people ask you, well, why do you need a coach if you're a coach? I have a coach, you have a coach. I've always been coached by people. I've had breaks, but
your coach has a coach. Yeah. Like it's like a big chain of like, my coach has a coach and their coach has a coach.
Exactly.
Everyone should have a coach if they are trying to achieve something, I think, because it's just nice as a coach to not have to think about it.
Yeah.
And you don't want an extra client. Like, I don't want to be my own client because I don't want another client to have to deal with and think about.
And not only that, but like when I coach myself, I put myself at the bottom of the list. So I'll do everyone's check-ins, everyone's programs, and then it gets to mine and I'm like, oh, like it's another week and I haven't done my own program. And then I'm like, oh, I'll write it next week.
100%.
We're both busy coaches. We're both successful, which is awesome. But at the same time, then that means that we can invest that money into coaching by another person and looking after ourselves. And I also think that when you invest money in something, you are much more motivated by your goals, because you're like, I've actually got something on my ass. I've invested my money. I'm investing my time. Whereas when you're coaching yourself for free, it's like you can be slack, you know?
Yeah. Plus, you know, if you're a coach and you're paying for a coach, it's tax deductible because it's education. And I think that's a really important part of, you know, why I'm working with you. And I'm also working once every week or two with a personal trainer in person, is because I just want to learn more as well. And it's not even just about my own journey. It's also further developing my skills and, you know, branching out and seeing how you do your online stuff and how does that work for me, and are there cool new tips and tricks that you have, and then, you know, working with a personal trainer to just keep an eye on my form or show me new variations. Like, I'm learning so much already that I can then implement. Not that I want to take anyone's ideas, but it's just it opens up your eyes to a lot more methods, whereas, you know, me working as an online coach from my little office, you know,
it can be lonely.
It can be lonely, and it can be very, I get stuck in my own routine or my own specific training style, and my window of knowledge kind of gets smaller if that's all I'm doing, and I forget things, and I'm not exposed to new ideas and new stimulus enough. So so it's been very beneficial to just try and, like, obviously I learn a lot from social media and YouTube and all that stuff, but I think like the direct one-on-one contact has made things sink in a little bit more. And now, like, I know I'm going to be a better coach because I've also experienced being a client again, which has been so long. So
yeah, exactly. And I think as well, like, you pick up different things off different coaches you work with. Like, I worked my first, I'm trying to think back to coaches, but I'll talk about good coaches that I've had, not shit ones, because there's been a whole buttload of those as well. But my first ever good coach was Lane Norton. So this was when
he's amazing.
Yeah, this was when Lane like wasn't as big. He was like just starting online coaching. I stepped off stage at FitX, which was basically before it was the Arnold Classic. So it was a year before that, and it was still at the expo, the exact same thing. It was called FitX. And I stepped off stage and I won the show, and Lane was standing there, and I just watched a few of his YouTube videos on metabolism. They'd like just come out. Yeah. And he was looking at me and I was looking at him. It was this kind of awkward thing. And then I went over and I was like, oh, are you Lane Norton? And he said, yeah. And he was like really quiet and humble and very different to how he is now. He's very loud and outgoing. Yeah. And he kind of said to me, oh, you know, I watched you on stage. You were amazing. Who's your coach? And I said, oh, I actually coached myself for this show because I'd had a few bad coaches and kind of just brought myself into that show. And he was like, you know, what's going on? And I just kind of broke down to him. And I was like, look, like, I'm exhausted. Like, this is the last show I've done did like 8 or 10 in a row or whatever. And I said, I think my metabolism's a mess after watching your videos. And I think there's a lot wrong with me. Like, you know, and he's like, well, do you want and that was kind of how it started. So I think we had 8 weeks to reverse, and then I had to get ready for Worlds. So he brought me into that show. And I remember him pushing me to 2,400 calories, and I was like, what is this? I'd been on like 1,400 and 1,200 for months. So it was really interesting, you know, working with one of the best in the world, but at the same time, without throwing shade at Lane, because this was like 7 years ago now, I'm sure he's a very different coach now and how he does his things. But back then, even some of his methods were, what's the word for it? Were very like, you know, not super structured with the online process, not as like in depth as what I do with my clients now. Correspondence was over email, and it was kind of like a little bit sporadic or short. It was hard to kind of connect, and he was great from the science and education standpoint, but not so much with the mindset and things like that. So I kind of learned as a coach, I loved this and what he did here, but I'd like to improve here. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that he's the same.
Exactly.
So you just learn and you grow and take the good and bad from people. And, you know, I thank him for introducing me to flexible dieting, and I have so much gratitude for him. And now he's a good friend of mine too. And he was pretty honest with me, and he said that he got so busy that he was not treating his clients with the same level of like passion that he would want to, because kind of after that happened, the kind of the end of when I was coaching with him was when he was super blew up, and he just didn't have time for anyone. Yeah. And I get that, but even he regrets it. He's like, I feel bad because then I got a bad reputation, and now it's taken a while to build it back up again. So I think that's the thing with online coaching, is you have to cap your capacity and have a way of going, this is the level where I can make enough income and not be stressed about money, but also have enough time for my clients. And I've definitely like burnt myself out saying yes to everyone. It wasn't even about the money. It was just like, I felt bad saying no. And then you end up. Yeah.
I don't want to turn clients away, because I'm like, I want to, like, you want to help them, and you don't want them to end up falling in with a shit coach. So you're like, let me save you, join my team. Like, that's fine. Exactly. I can fit one more in, and you know, it's very hard. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm learning now to more like, well, we have obviously built our coaching team and have 3 coaches, which is great, but to refer as well to other coaches. So for example, I know that your client base is slightly different to my client base. So we are different coaches. We have different experience. It doesn't mean that one coach is better than the other. It simply means that we market and target a different clientele and demographic. So who would you say, I guess, are like the main struggles that women come to you with that you mainly help with?
Well, for me, like a lot of people now that I've had a little bit of a shift in direction, is that people come to me saying, I don't feel confident anymore. I don't like how I look anymore. I want to work on that. And it's like, yes, a lot of the time their goal is initially fat loss. They think that that's what's going to make them more confident. But, you know, then after a few weeks, they kind of realize like a lot of positive reinforcement has them feeling a lot better without seeing as much change as they had hoped for. Yeah. And so for me, a lot of my coaching is, I guess, not official mindset coaching. You know, I'm not a counselor or anything like that, but I do focus, I focus a lot more on body positivity and lifestyle factors. So I'm really big on working with my clients on reducing their stress and improving their lifestyle and their balance, and teaching them more about how to have a birthday dinner on a Saturday night and get back on track and not feel bad about it, and how do you track alcohol if you've got an event. And you know, I used to be very much like, no, you only get your 1 cheat meal a week. You know, if you want to see your progress, you have to stay within this amount of calories, and let's just smash it out. You know, I was definitely, you know, I was never ridiculously rigid with my clients, but I definitely was tougher on them back then. Whereas now that I have experienced more balance in my life and learnt so much about how much better life can be when you have that balance, like that's a really big part of my coaching now. So I might not be the most technical coach in terms of training capacity and all of that kind of stuff, but I think from
your clients, you don't need to be, right?
The kind of clients that come to me, like, yes, they have physical goals, but I think they also have a lot of mindset goals that they want to work on, and they kind of just want someone to be accountable to, and to maybe just have someone pay them compliments, honestly. Like, I think that's a really big part of it, is me supporting them and complimenting them and saying, no, like, you lost 400 grams this week. That's great. Why are you being so hard on yourself? Let's identify the positives. This week you achieved this, this, and this. And it's just spinning things where a lot of my clients were previously hard on themselves, and it's me saying, it's okay, you're actually doing great, here's some positives for you, let's celebrate together. So I think like my demographic is very much that aspect, because, you know, I don't coach comp rep clients really. I've had two just because they were long-term clients of mine that I didn't want them to end up with a shitty coach. But I don't take on clients with the goal of comp rep. So if I have any clients that, you know, want to compete within, you know, 6 to 8 months, I always refer them on. And I think that's a really important thing, is to identify your niche and stick with that. If that's what you're good at, do that. So if people come to me for comp rep, I'll refer them to you, or I'll refer them to someone in the area, you know. And I think that's a really big part of being a good coach, is knowing what you're good at and aligning your personal beliefs with that, and then making sure that you take on the right clients that need that kind of service.
I think so too. And I think it's also good to have that rapport with other coaches of knowing what they specialize in, because you can't help everyone and you want to help everyone. But the problem is that I used to say yes to everyone, and then I would end up, you know, I'd have a complete beginner, which I don't really work with a lot of beginners anymore. And then I'd be spending so much time with them, like, you know, really going into things in depth, instead of saying, hey babe, just maybe go get a couple of PT sessions.
Yeah.
And we can work on your stuff online. Because I think for anyone out there that is a complete beginner in the gym and you just want to get into a gym and get confident, get some PT sessions. Like,
absolutely. And I always recommend that. Yeah. I don't think that online coaching is for someone who has never trained properly in a gym before, because you're not comfortable with the machines. You don't have great form right off the bat. You know, you definitely need someone there face to face to check you out. So if I do have anyone that's transitioning and that's fairly new into the gym, I always recommend that they do at least get, you know, that initial 3 or 4 sessions that you can get a lot of the time at the gym with a personal trainer, just to make sure that their form's on point and they're feeling confident. Because I don't want to write a program for someone and say, sure, like go and use this leg press machine and go and do a deadlift, and they just freak out because they're not comfortable and they don't want to go in the boys section of the gym. You know, I work with a lot of, I wouldn't say beginners, but, you know, people that are relatively new to the gym, that are not super experienced. And I love that, because I love teaching them things and building them from the ground up. But, you know, that's not every coach. And that's the thing, I think, like, that's the kind of client that I attract now. And, you know, I don't attract much interest in comp prep really, because that's not what I do anymore.
I seem to attract all coaches. So I would say like 50% of my client base are coaches.
Do you know what? I think that's a massive compliment, because we obviously see you as someone that is more knowledgeable than us, that, you know, we can learn from, and, you know, we have a lot of respect for you. So I think like that's a huge win for you, that you can attract people that know what they're doing already.
Exactly. And I'm actually in the process now of building a new course that's going to be specifically for coaches. So it's going to be about how to program, also business side of things, and also social media. So it'll be cool. And also mindset around being a coach and making sure you don't burn out, you don't do all those things.
I love that.
So that'll be cool. So I'll have to get you to test some of it when we get it ready. But
sure,
you know, that's where my direction's going now. And again, the direction shifts. Like a few years ago, I used to be apprehensive to coach coaches, because I was always worried, oh my God, what if they steal my stuff? And and now I'm like, no, like, to help more people, because I know, again, that we will have our own areas of expertise. And if I have a client who just wants to get confident in the gym, doesn't really want to go too hardcore, but wants to learn more about self-love, then I'm probably going to send them to you, unless they fit into one of our programs or whatever it is, and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, mine is a real mix. We have lifestyle clients, and we also have comp prep, and then we also have coaches, and then I do a bit of mentoring. So it's a mixed bag, but I'm lucky now that I've got coaches that kind of help with specific areas, so I'm not spread too thin across the board, and then can focus more on my one-on-ones, and have Jess and Jason and Sean run breakthrough, and now Sean's helping with comp prep. So that's kind of the only way you can do it. If you're trying to do everything on your own, and I was before, it's difficult, and one area will get forgotten about or fall under the program. You know, so, and that's a big one, because if you solely also focus on comp prep, it's very up and down. You've got clients that you're going to be busy in season, but then off season, you know, your income's going to reduce because people are going to fall away. And whereas lifestyle clients that are working with you year round, it's much more stable in terms of a financial standpoint. And these are all the things people need to think about with online coaching as a business and a job. It's very unstable with clientele. And that's why I tend to have clients on a weekly or a monthly sort of payment plan, rather than doing once-off plans. I do a bit of that. Like, we've got our ebooks, much like you, but really, like, the best way to run your business is going to be that way, rather than having clients just pay you sporadically, because you've got no idea what your income's going to be. So how do you kind of work yours similar to that on a
I always try and get everyone to sign up for an initial at least 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So I do my 8-week challenges, which are a little bit different, I think, to a lot of people's approaches to an 8 or a 12-week challenge, because I don't treat my clients like it's only the 8 weeks. As soon as they sign up with me, yes, we want to, achieve X goal in this 8 weeks, but I also talk long term, and I also try and obviously I want to retain that client if they have more work to do. But even if they don't stay on with me after the 8 weeks, I still have the same approach with them from the very beginning, that this is a long term.
This is just a kickstart, really.
Absolutely. So I have a very good client retention from my challenges. I generally will keep at least 50% of challenges, and a lot will go away and come back if they don't stay on. So and I've had people go and try out other challenges and have not liked the coach, and have picked them because maybe they were cheaper or whatever it may be, and I
media following, whatever it may be.
And they're like, no, it just wasn't the same. I'm back. So I get a lot of like a very good amount of retention and a very good amount of people that come back. So I think like I'm obviously doing something right in that regard. But it is very sporadic, and obviously like I get a huge influx of inquiries and signups when I do have a challenge, and I usually do 4 to 5 8-week challenges a year. But I do have a lot of month-to-month clients as well. So they might have started initially with a challenge and stayed on, and I charge them monthly, and, there's no long-term commitment. I just month-to-month, we keep going as long as they need to. But I've had clients that have been with me for 2 years, since almost the very beginning. And, sometimes they come and go and they take a little bit of a break, but, they come back because, that's cool. I mean, I don't think you should need a coach every single week forever.
No.
But some people just,
and whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think, it's nice that people come back. So I have a very good, I'm just very fortunate that I don't have too many lulls. I probably would appreciate more lulls and more downtime, I guess, because I'm pretty much going straight from, one challenge. I have 2 weeks in between my 8-week challenges, and that's my 2 weeks of setup to get everyone ready. And, I often have 50 plus in a challenge. I have a huge influx, and that's like 10 to 12 hour days for 2 weeks straight. So when people think, oh, you've got a 2-week break in between, I'm like, no. This is my crazy time. And then, then aside from that, I've got my month-to-month clients. So I'm fortunate that I don't have too many lulls. So I don't really have too much advice to give, because I haven't really done anything to...
You've been very fortunate, coming in and it being successful straight off the bat. And I think that's not the reality of what would happen for... I would say, I think there's a dropout rate of something like 70% in the first 6 months of any PTs and online coaches. So the fact that...
I've heard that.
Me and you have never really struggled. I mean, I've had my highs and lows, but never been in a position where I'm like, fuck, I need to get another job, or I need to do something like that. But
we're so blessed though that we don't have to worry about that. And it's not like we're ridiculously wealthy, but we're both comfortable because we're both fairly stable. And I think that really comes from giving a good service.
Absolutely.
People are not going to want to leave if you're giving them a good service and you're getting them the results that they want.
Exactly.
And some of my clients achieve their results and still stay on for coaching because they just enjoy it. I'm a little bit
being part of the team and the community, or just having some accountability from someone else.
And I mean, my costs are probably more than 8-week challenges that you would normally find, but less than probably some of the more experienced coaches. So I find that, I target myself more in the middle, so that I'm accessible to a lot of people. And I think, I've priced accordingly to the target market that I have, and all of that. And I think it's a fairly reasonable cost for a lot of people that just still want to have some accountability. They still want to get training updates, and they appreciate the chat each week. And I think just it's really important to give that good level of service and have your clients connect to you. And they're probably not going to want to leave unless they're absolutely, they've achieved their goals, they've done everything, and they don't need you. That's
cool.
Right?
You've done your job. Yeah.
Exactly. But in terms of retaining clients, the better your service is, and not just your programming, your service. I think the more that you can pay individual attention to your clients, the more likely they are to stay with you for a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. The more you make them feel like they're special and they're part of something, because at the end of the day, a lot of the reasons as to why people go on a health and fitness journey is they want to feel good about themselves. And if they've got
Absolutely
in that corner, it's not always just about getting the scales down. Like, if they feel good, then they're happy. And if, you know, they're in a community or a team or their coach is proud of them, they're all those little words, like the amount of times in a week I say I'm proud to my clients, like, and I don't say that as bullshit. Like, I only say it when I mean it, but you know, that's important, and get the clients to focus away from those things. So I guess pricing is one that a few people did ask about. I don't really like to talk about this too much because I get super awkward with it. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not good with it. But I think that what you said before about pricing yourself according to your market, like who you're servicing, what then level of coaching you're going to give back. So for example, something like contest prep, if people think they're going to get a good coach for $50 a week for comp prep, do not. Okay. And I know that sounds like, that might sound like a lot to people, but really that's not. For the level of coaching that you need for a contest prep, you are looking at, I would say, a minimum of $100 a week for a good coach during your comp prep. We charge just slightly above that, so not much more than that. We don't have any big, massive outlays of fees or charges, but I include everything in that. Posing, peak week, being at the show when I can, all of those things. The girls will have like 8 posing sessions with me included rather than paying for that on top of. So everything is a part of it. And, you know, I'm texting them, you know, 4 weeks out pretty much every day. Like, it's kind of, that's the level of service you're going to get. Now for $50 a week, if you were charging yourself that is not valuing your time as a coach and not respecting yourself. Because I used to be very like, well, you can't charge that because that person can't afford it, instead of being like, hey, what's my worth? How many hours a week am I putting in with that client? And that's kind of how I figure it out going back. And not so much just per week, but over the course of a month, because you might not write a new training program for someone every single week, but you might be writing a new program every 4 or 5 weeks. And then that's taking up 2 or 3 hours. So if you spread that over the course of a month, it's X amount. Let's just round it into that. But yeah, I think pricing, you just got to be confident with it. And the biggest thing I can say to any coaches out there is do not forget about tax and GST. Because,
oh my God, that's the worst.
Hey, I got stuck with that a few years ago. My accountant did not tell me he'd register me for GST, and all of a sudden I got a $25,000 tax bill from the ATO. So that was fun. But anyway, that taught me a big lesson. So yes, if your coach is charging you, say, let's say $50 a week, for comp prep, and then they're taking out the tax and GST, they might be making $30 a week from comp prep. Now, if that was a lifestyle client, $30 a week, not so bad, but comp prep, different kettle of fish. VIP coaching where you're customizing everything. Again, you're actually spending more time on those clients than what you would in one 45-minute PT session.
Or you should be. And I think that's the issue, is that people are scared to charge more, so they keep their prices very low, but then they're like, well, I'm not going to spend all this time if I'm only getting $30 a week. So then they don't put the level of service in that's actually doing a disservice to the client. So even just from me working with you for a week and a half, like your level of service is next level, amazing. Like, I've heard from you almost every single day, and you're worth every cent. And I think that's, you know, you have to have value in yourself and charge a certain price, but you have to stick to that, and you have to give that level of service. So if you're going to charge $30 or $40 or $50 a week, that's fine if your clients know they get one check-in with you a week and they get, you know, 15 minutes with you, and that's it. If that's all they need. And if that's all they need, that's fine. Like, make that clear, but don't sell yourself as a really supportive coach and then under deliver on that. And I think that's the thing. Like, my clients, you know, I don't speak to them every day, but if they need me, they can message me. And, you know, I think that's a really important part of being a good coach, is being available, not 24/7, but
I think it's silly when you hear people say that. I'll be there for you 24/7. You wait.
not when I'm asleep, but you know, I will wake up and reply to you in the morning.
I think as well that if you put yourself out there as being available 24/7, is that you're trying to teach your clients about reducing stress, reducing cortisol, living a balanced lifestyle. And if you're accessible 24/7, that is not showing them balance, because it's saying that you're willing to work 24/7. So I never say that to clients. I say, look, Sunday afternoons, that's my time with my man. I won't be replying to you then. When I'm in the gym for 2 hours a day, maybe a little more in comp prep, and my phone's on airplane mode, I will not reply to you then. But as soon as I finish my session, I'll message you back, you know? Those things are important. And I think that if you set that up right with a client, those expectations, they're very good with it. Since I've made it more clear, clients have actually been much more understanding. Whereas before, when I used to be like, no, I'll reply to you any time of the day, I not only stressed myself out, but I think I then left them unhappy if I didn't, because I set the expectation up here that they'd get that instant reply.
Yeah.
So you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I think scheduling some time aside, that's probably something I can learn from you, because I don't really have, I don't really have like a blackout period where clients can't contact me, but you know, I'm available Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, basically the entire day, because they're my 3 check-in days. So I'll be working from 6 a.m. and, you know, I usually finish like the majority of check-ins by say 2 or 3 p.m. There's normally like a lull, and then a few people send them later at night. So I'm still on and off my laptop until probably 8 p.m. on those 3 days. So they're really big days for me. And then the rest of the week, my clients are quite good at, they'll message me if they need me, but you know, I don't.
They're set up for the week. Yeah,
I don't coach them to be overly needy. And you know, there's a few clients, if they're struggling, I'll be like, cool, like send me a screenshot of your MyFitnessPal every single night. That's cool. Like happy to do that for the ones that need it. But I've kind of also focused a lot on education with my clients to teach them to do it themselves, because that's what I want them to be able to do when I'm not around, because I think, you know, you don't want people relying on you 24/7, because that's not teaching them anything.
No, you want to be able to teach. And you also want to think about, the way I think about it is, when you start with a client, they're riding a bike with training wheels, and you're going to have to be there to hold them and support them, make sure they don't fall off. They might fall off a little bit and scratch themselves, but they'll get back up again. Whereas the further along they go with coaching, you're taking the training wheels off, getting them to do it themselves. You're kind of stepping back. And often, like with some of my clients, they'll be on, say, weekly coaching for a while. And then when they get to kind of a point of like somewhat maintenance, then they'll go to fortnightly check-ins or monthly check-ins, when they're kind of like in a position where they still want me there if they need me, but they're not really utilizing or needing my service as much as someone paying for weekly. And I'll often say that to them. I'm like, look, you don't need me that much. Let's just drop you down to a fortnightly or whatever. I'm going to charge you less, because I'm not in this, like you, same with you. We genuinely care about people, and we don't need to just take people's money for nothing. I would rather worth of that, what they need, basically. Like
exactly.
So I guess let's get into a couple of quick questions before we follow up. I knew we'd end up going for ages.
I know. You were like 45 minutes and it's been like over an hour. So thanks to everyone that's still listening to us.
I mentioned over 2 podcasts. So a couple of quick questions is, I'm going to pick the most important ones. But we've already touched on like picking the right coach. So like we've said before, my tips for picking the right coach is know what their niche is, who they kind of specify with. Do you associate with kind of the clients they're posting, the problems that are coming up? We've kind of covered that. Now, I had a really
I think, hold on, an important one on that is, in this day and age of social media, stalk their clients.
Yeah.
Because my clients are my best advertising. You know, I've got a few who don't have massive social media followings. They might have 1,000 or 2,000 followers, but they're posting all the time about their process and what they're doing. And I get so many inquiries via people following those clients. And I think, you know, it's a really good way to market yourself is by having your clients post that. So, you know, I don't ask anyone to post anything, but if a potential client is questioning anything, like I love that I've got more people that can speak for my services, and they can see what I'm doing with a particular client because it's already out there. So if you have that option, and if your coach that you're looking at has posted client transformations, click onto those clients, have a look and see what else they're talking about. Are they living this healthy lifestyle day in, day out, or are they, you know, were they a winner of an 8-week challenge and now they've been shrinking every weekend? You know, I think that's a really important, not that you should judge a coach specifically on the client. No, because you have
some clients who you cannot tame, and I've had a few of those before.
Yeah, but I just think, you know, it's good to do research in that regard. Yeah, because, you know, that's what I did when I chose a comp prep coach. I chose him based on the results that he had with his clients, and did they rebound after? Was he supportive enough to guide them through that? And I think just getting that feedback was really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point to touch on. Like, it's super, super important. And the hard thing is a lot of clients don't want to post. I have a lot of that's fine. But a lot of my lifestyle clients, because somebody said to me, do you only coach comp prep? And I was like, no, it's just that my comp prep girls tend to document it more, put up more posts. They're proud of themselves. And my lifestyle clients often don't even use social media, or they've got a private account, or they just want their friends and family on it. And that's fine too. So I think, yeah, it's important to look at that, but then also realize there's probably a lot of clients that, you know, aren't getting shared. And I tend to then more share them on my story and black out their name or whatever if they're comfortable with it. I'm super proud of them. But so that's probably a good one, picking the right coach. Now, I had a good one from one of my clients, actually, and I thought it was quite an interesting question, more about body image going into that now. Now, she said, I'm going to read the exact question out that Crystal sent me. So thank you, Crystal. Crystal said, it did kind of cut the message off though on Instagram. You know, it does that weird cut thing.
Oh, yeah.
She said, how does Sami follow her favorite brands, which use, in quotes, perfect girls, without falling into the trap of comparing herself when wearing certain brands and products? So
Gymshark.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I just kind of appreciate things for what it's worth. And I think for me, you know, a lot of people know that Gymshark is one of my favorite activewear brands. I freaking love it. Yeah, but, you know, things don't look on me as they do on a lot of those girls.
Or like many women.
Well, and I think that's why, like, I've done a few like hauls of my purchases from Gymshark. And like try-ons, and those get some really good views on my YouTube. I think because people want to see a normal person that's not stick thin trying on those clothes. But in terms of body image, I mean, I have over time learned not to compare myself to other people. You know, I don't have a specific like goal body that I want to achieve or anything. So it's like I don't really see them in that light.
Hannah, what's her name?
Hannah Oberg. Well, I was going to mention her. She is my favorite Gymshark athlete because her body is a little bit, she's a bit more relatable to me. You know, she's not overly tall. She's, I think, about my height, about 156 centimeters. You know, her legs are kind of stocky. Her waist is kind of thicker. She still looks amazing and above average and quite athletic, but for me, she's more relatable. So, you know, not every single person on those accounts are stick thin, but I guess that's the thing. I just dissociate myself with those tiny little blonde girls. Like I know the clothes aren't going to fit me like that. That's cool. I'll either look at someone like Hannah or I'll look at or the tagged posts on Gymshark and look at some normal people that have tagged Gymshark and be like, how do the clothes fit on those kind of people? But
I agree. I really look at Lauren Finlay's my one.
Yeah, and I think it's really important on social media to appreciate that people can look amazing, and that's cool. That's not that it's not achievable for me to look that way, because obviously I've been lean before, but it's not sustainable for me, and it's not mentally healthy for me to do the things that would get me to look like that. Yeah. So I don't really see like ripped people as aspirational anymore, because that's just not how I want to look, but I think they look amazing. So I think if someone's finding themselves constantly comparing to people that look a certain way on social media, I think have a think about what your goals are. If you want to look like that, cool, like work towards looking like that. But for me, I don't want to look like that. I appreciate that for what they are, and they look beautiful and they model the clothes well, but I don't compare myself. I mean, if I was a Gymshark sponsored athlete, I would probably be more self-conscious if I had to stand next to them. But you know,
as well, like you want to, I think a big thing, and this client that said this, you know, she looks amazing and she's constantly comparing herself to other people. So I know why she said this comment. So I'm just brought this one up, and you look amazing. So I think it's a case of, number one, understanding that social media isn't real life as well, that a lot of these images are their best shots, their best angles, flattering, good lighting, all of that. But at the same time, who cares if someone looks good? If someone looks good, give them a clap. Like,
be happy for them.
You have to look that way and be your best self. Like this, like you said, I look at some of the Gymshark girls, and they've all got these baby waists. I've always been athletic. I'm always straight up and down. When I wear their leggings, they do not taper my waist in like the ones, unless I wear like the high waist. But you know, it's just, I'm not going to look like that. And that's okay with me. I'm the same as you. I'm like, I used to be someone that would aspire to that, until I realized that my genetics, I'm probably never going to look like that, because it's just not my shape. So I think looking at images of people, if you are someone stuck in this mindset, that look more similar to you in terms of the actual body structure. So in terms of their proportions, their height, your symmetry, maybe not so much body fat, but just their actual shape, I think is really key. And I think another one that I chatted about the other day, I think I put a post up about it, but filtering your social media, if all you are seeing is shredded people on your feed, you are going to start to think that that's normal, and that's what society looks like, you know?
Absolutely.
the more you kind of filter it the other way, where you're following more normal people, so to speak. Like I follow mainly my clients and my friends in the industry. I don't really follow a lot of the big like influencers. Like, what about you? Who's your main ones?
Well, yeah, like exactly what you said. When I was transitioning from a competitor to like a normal person now, that was actually a really, really positive step that I took with my mindset, was to unfollow a lot of those people that were permanently prepping and lean and like on the grind, and what I perceived to be, I guess, potentially triggering to a bad body image for me. You know, I still follow some of those people. Obviously, Lauren Simpson looks freaking amazing, and I'm never going to unfollow her because she's my friend. But I know I'm not going to look like that, but I made an effort to then go and find more realistic people that have a different message that aligned more with what I wanted to do. So, people like Nina, what's her last name? Silic? Do you know her?
Yeah.
So like she was one of the ones that I was just obsessed with when I was coming out of my contest prep, because to me, she has a really achievable body for me. Like her body fat level is like, she's not super lean, but she's like beautiful and toned and curvy. And I was just trying to find more people like that had a positive message, that were like fit and athletic, but not super lean or anything like that. So
and girls
she was another one. Yeah. So I really made the effort to find more people like that were more representative of how I wanted to look and feel. So I unfollowed a lot of people that were prepping. Honestly, even some of my friends that at the time were prepping, I couldn't deal with it because I was having a really hard time with my body image, and I just needed a break from that scene.
And I think the big thing is, it's not their fault. Like that's what I want to post about. And I think that, you know, I do hear a lot of people say, oh, that person triggered me, and almost like attack them. And it's like, it's not their fault. Like, what's going on in their life right now, and they're proud of themselves. And you know what, like, I'm sure once you get into a good place with your own body image, you'll be proud of them. But right now you're seeing it as like, what an asshole, they're so lean, they're posting all of this stuff, and it's triggering you to feel like shit. It's like, no one makes you feel a certain way like yourself. Like, and that's
and it's not anyone else's fault. And I think like if they are lean and they're showing that off, that's fucking great. Like that's what I did when I was lean. And I think, I mean, there's actually a hide function now where it doesn't come up in your feed, but you
Facebook with people.
Well, they have it on Instagram now, so you don't have to unfollow anyone if you still want to be able to see everything, or if it's a friend and you don't want to get feelings.
They've got that app on, it tells you if people get unfollowed. Like,
oh my god,
I was like,
I don't want to know.
I used to, and then I was like, I can't do this.
No, thank you. But yeah, like I think just changing your feed to be more positive is really helpful, and find more people that are body positive and
educational, informative,
and helpful. Like you should be following people that better your life,
not people who are just posting about a product and they look great, but they're
and I like that's each to their own. Like if people want to post about that stuff, that's cool, but if that's not what you're into, and if you're looking at people's photos or captions and it's making you feel bad about yourself, like that's you, that's not them. But just unfollow them
to your life either. Like, if something serves no purpose but it's just an image to me, like I probably am not interested in following that person. Maybe a training video and with no caption, cool, because I'm like, but I think that again, your social media is your choice, and it doesn't need to be so scary. I also hear a lot of people being like, social media is shit, and it's like, well, maybe it's just your feed. Like maybe you need a filter and find some of those positive accounts to follow. Follow more puppy accounts, follow more quote accounts, you know, all those sort of things. It doesn't have to be just people, you know, like I follow so many like food and dog and, you know, different things. But so what I want to wrap up on, because I know we've kind of been going for a while, but I want to follow up with just a couple for you of pros and cons of being an online coach and someone also that works for themselves. So if you can quickly roll off a couple of your pros and cons on that, that would be great.
I guess pros from coaching in general, like not specific to online, but I love working with my clients. It honestly like is the most fulfilling thing I could ever do, to be able to help people feel better about themselves, not just look better, but to feel better. So that feeling to be able to connect with people and have them say, you know, I'm more confident in myself now, so my relationship with my partner is better, or I'm more energetic, so I'm a better mum because I have the energy to play with my kids. Like that's the kind of stuff, people, is such a blessing. So for me, that's my biggest pro always. Like I'm so blessed to be able to do this and to help people feel better. It's a great feeling. And I guess probably in terms of online coaching specifically, like time flexibility and being able to work in your pajamas is pretty great. So, you know, obviously like, well, that is me at present. So I'm glad no one can see me. I was like, oh no, I haven't got makeup on. But, you know, I think that's really cool to be able to work for yourself and dictate your own hours and have the luxury of working from home, because it's pretty freaking cool that, you know, I get up and I walk into my office, which, you know, I've done up, it looks pretty cute, but you know, I don't have to go anywhere at any particular time. So that's really cool to be able to work for yourself and do that. But, you know, it's a blessing and a curse, because then you also have to be very, very self-motivated, and you can't just stay in bed because you don't have anywhere to go, because it's like, no, well, I've got to get up every day. You know, I've tried to get myself
sleeping in because I can just work till whatever, and then you end up working till midnight.
Yeah, I don't set an alarm, which is pretty cool. Like I naturally just wake up between 6 and 6:30 every day. So thank you to my body for not requiring an alarm, but I'm always, every single day, I'm on my laptop by 7 a.m. at the latest. Every single day, whether I just check a few emails and then go do something else if I'm not super busy, but every single day, like that's I have to get into routine. I have to come into my office, sit at my desk, and at least get through emails and bits and pieces. If I have no major jobs, I can be a bit more flexible with my day. Or if it's not a check-in day, but otherwise, like I have to get into routine. So I think you have to be at least a little bit self-motivated and good with time management to be able to work for yourself, because if you don't do stuff, it's not going to get done. No one's going to do it for you. And if you don't reply to a client, they're going to get shitty. So you kind of need to, it doesn't matter how bad your day is, you need to be there for your clients. So I guess that's probably potentially another con, is just that it can be quite emotionally draining. Being a cheerleader for everyone else and giving them pep talks and being super, super positive all the time.
All the time.
And I think doing that for my clients, paired with also trying to have that vibe on social media, can be quite taxing on me. And I'm a sensitive little soul. And so sometimes, and I actually touched on this today. And I touched on this today in my caption, where I mentioned that I was working with you, but one of my favorite quotes is that you can't pour from an empty cup. And I feel like I pour a lot out to my clients and on social media, and I try and put out as much positivity as possible. But sometimes, you know, working in an office by yourself all day can be quite isolating. And so you can also feel kind of flat by the end of the day and a little bit lonesome.
And on social media, like then you want to keep
So I think like it can be quite exhausting, especially because I work exclusively with females, and females are gonna tell you, you know, they're gonna tell you when they've broken up with their partner or their periods. And I mean that's great. Like I love that they feel comfortable to share that stuff with me. So I encourage that. But you know, it can sometimes feel like a little much, and some days it's like everyone's dumped all their problems on me, and I just want to
get synced up with their periods, and it's like
and I just, by the end of the day, I'm like, I just want to sit and cry and eat ice cream. So you know, you have to kind of be prepared, I guess, for that it does take a lot of energy out of you, but I think it's great to even have the opportunity to do that. Probably the only
as your coach, we're definitely going to be doing some work on your boundaries. Is going to be
I know, I'm like a 7-day a week, you know, I really need to ease off on that. Probably the only other con really from like an online coaching perspective, and it might not apply to everyone, but for me, because my marketing is via social media, I also feel that pressure to keep up with Instagram. And there's times where I don't want to be this Instagram girl anymore, and I want to just be a normal person and not have to be posting all the time, or not have to dress super cute to go to the gym because I know I have to get a selfie to post to, you know, to film a workout, or to be able to post a selfie with an informative caption. And sometimes I can feel that pressure, just because my business does rely on it in some way. Because if I didn't have Instagram, I wouldn't get the leads that I get, you know, I wouldn't get the marketing. It's free marketing for me, so I can't complain, but that is where I get a lot of my clients from. So I think like that is a little bit of a downfall, and I wish that I could somehow find a way to, you know, if I was in a gym, I think it'd be a little bit different, but just because I am 100% online and 100% reliant on Instagram marketing and referrals, that it's like sometimes it can feel sometimes I'm like, oh, I just wish I didn't have to do the Instagram thing as part of my job.
Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
You know?
Yeah, it is. And I think that that's a really big thing to say to anyone that's thinking about online coaching, because if you are not going to be consistent with social media, you're not going to keep up with it. I was super slack, probably like all last year and the year before. I just kind of got over it, and I just kind of was like, had enough clients, just kind of coasted along, post occasionally. I also wasn't super confident in my body at the time, so that was another big thing for me. And then I don't know, the last 6 months I've just kind of gone, fuck, you need to like get back into this, and you need to start to build a presence again, because my following was going down and all of that just from being inconsistent. And it made me realize like, unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunate, it's just you've got to see it as part of your job. You've got to see it as, okay, every day at this time, I've got to try to do a post, or every second day. I don't believe it has to be every single day, but definitely maybe start with like 3 times a week and then progress to every second day, and then every day. I'm a bit like you. Sometimes I'll post twice a day because I'm having a good day, and then another time I won't post for a day. So I try to post pretty much every day. Maybe on the weekends I won't post. Maybe I won't post on a Saturday. I find it's quite a quiet day on Instagram. I'll post on a Sunday, like Sunday night. And kind of knowing when the quiet times are and busy times. Like I don't bother posting on a Friday night generally, but if I'm feeling something and I want to stick it up, I'll stick it up and not really care about the engagement or the likes, because I'm just feeling it. And you know, you want to go with those things, and sometimes those posts do really well because you're like, didn't expect anything, you know. So
exactly. I think it is a double-edged sword though, because with me I feel like it's kind of taken the fun out of Instagram, because now it's like it feels like work. It's like I have to do a certain kind of photo, I have to do a certain kind of caption to be able to capture people's attention.
Yours is a lot prettier than mine.
I mean, I try, but that's because that's what I've created for myself. So at the same time, you know, I've put my own foot in it, and I've kind of put this pressure on myself, but it's like I almost feel sometimes like I wish I could just be anonymous. Not that I'm not saying I'm like famous, but it's just, do you know what I mean? Like when you have like 40 something thousand people looking at your post, you know, it can feel quite pressuring. And I feel like sometimes I have to hide parts of myself, or I feel like I can't be myself because I have to be this coach and this brand.
Yeah, you feel like it's hard to have it's hard to be sad at times, because it's like, you know, you don't want to put that energy out there onto your social media, but then you also don't want to be fake with people. So it's kind of like, the way I see it, if I'm going through something or struggling with something, and me and you spoke, I think about 4 or 6 weeks ago, about something similar we were both going through. You know, and we both chose to not share that on social media. And I think that was a good thing. But at the same time, in those moments, I'm sure we both weren't feeling amazing. So I think it's kind of like, I remember going a bit quiet on social media around there because I just didn't feel like posting, and I didn't feel like being fake. So I think it's okay to have those moments. If you're feeling sad or down, don't feel like you're being fake for not posting, but also don't feel like you have to post because it's the thing to do. You know, or don't go on your story for like half a day. It's so funny. I didn't go on my story the other day because I was just super busy. And then my phone broke as well when I was in Sydney. And I had these few girls message me, and they were like, we missed your story for like a few days. Please don't do that again. I was like, it's so cute though. It's nice hearing that, like, you know, keep them mean, keep them keen. But I think, pros and cons, like you touched on most of them. I would say the big pro with online coaching is the ability for me to get to connect with clients from all around Australia and the world.
That's so cool.
You know, like I got clients in New Zealand, in America, I had some in the UK before, mainly Australia. But at the same time, like I got to come to Sydney and run a workshop and have 30 girls there. I would have never been able to do that if I was a little PT in a gym in Perth. Like,
absolutely.
No one would have known who I was. So I can't just, like you, we've been discussing getting Sami over to Perth to potentially run an event. So if you guys want that, send me an email or message us on Instagram so that we can actually know that there's a reach for it. We want to run some of the events much like what Sami already runs with her partner back over in Brizzy and Sydney and Queensland. So Get It Girl events, go check that out. It's all on Sami's website too, I believe. So yeah, we wouldn't be able, you know what, I wouldn't meet you. Like we actually met in a gym in America. I was like,
I know, that was cool.
And I was like, I swear I know her, and then went over. But you know, I wouldn't know who you were, you know. Like social media and online space, amazing, does great things for us. But then I would say the other pro for me with the online is, the flexibility of the hours is a double-edged sword. The fact that I can make an income when I'm traveling is another really good
that's a great one,
especially as an entrepreneur, like when you don't have other streams of income. And probably that I just get to help women. Like that's what it is what it is,
and more women. I think just the availability of our time and being able to spread our time out a little bit more means we can help so many more people than we would if we were doing 45 to 1 hour sessions
in a gym.
At the gym. You know, you have to cap yourself because you physically can't do any more in a gym. Whereas, you know, I can take 25 to 30% more people at a time working online because I can leverage my time a little bit better.
Absolutely.
I don't have to be talking to this particular client from this time to this time, you know, and we can kind of have that ability to have a bit of a further reach.
The gym at 4 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's good.
I think that's a really positive one. And I also, when I was in the gym, because I did do the full-time PT thing when I was at uni, and I was uni full-time and doing like 40 sessions a week. And I hated being in the gym myself because I was there so much that I was like, I don't even want to train. And I used to go to different gyms to train because it was just, I was there so much, especially when comp prepping. So I would say some of the cons for me, probably again, not us specifically, but I just say to anyone that's thinking about online coaching, is the instability of finances. You obviously need to be understanding that it's a competitive space now, and that if you're just going to go all in and like quit your job and just like go without actually having a base, I would make sure you have a proper transitionary step towards it. If you're a PT and you're slowly progressing to that, rather than just going all in to start. I think there's a point where you do need to then go all in, but I think until you're financially in a good position, then don't take that kind of big jump, especially if you have financial commitments. So if you have a mortgage or kids or anything like that, if you're maybe living at home with your parents, then that's a little different. So the other con I would say is probably just the accessibility. Sometimes I feel like I am a little too accessible at times, and I find it hard probably with my own training. The gym that I train at, a lot of my clients train there, a lot of people I know train there, so I have to have a bit of a resting bitch face in the gym, otherwise I get nothing and I end up being there. And a lot of the time I'll train in the afternoon, and then I have calls scheduled with clients in the evening, so I've only got a window of an hour to get my training in, and then someone will bump into me and they'll start chatting to me, and I'm like, fuck, there goes 15 minutes. Like I feel bad, I want to chat to you, but at the same time, even though you are online, a lot of people think that you have all the time in the world, but you generally, if you're a good online coach, you still have structure. I still have call times with clients. I still have check-in times, filming times. Your week is like any other day. Like my mum loves to do the surprise pop-in on a Monday, which is check-in day. And I'm like,
oh, Mum.
And then you feel like an asshole because you're like, Mum, like I'm doing check-in stuff.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'll just sit and like have a coffee and, chat to you while you're working. And I'm like, oh my God, if I was in an office, this would not happen. But
I know.
So those sort of things you've got to be aware of. And I think the biggest tip for that is setting boundaries and setting structure. When I first went all in, I was a bit too like lax with the structure. I'd be like, oh, I've got all day to do things, and you can procrastinate. Whereas if you have task lists and things you're working through every day, then that's a really good way to be. I would say another con, I'm trying to think of any other cons, really there's not a hell of a lot more. I would say probably the inconsistency with finance sometimes. You will have clients dick you around. That's probably another one that I didn't touch on. You get that more with online than PT, because with PT, you're seeing them face to face. Whereas with online, people can kind of like dodge your emails and like not reply. I honestly don't get that a lot, and I'm sure you don't either because you're a good coach and set things up right.
If they try and miss their check-in, I'll be like, hey, where's your check-in? You can't run. Even if you had a bad week, let's still chat.
Well, I think not even just those, because I think your clients are pretty good, but I've had ones before where they'll sign up and then they'll realize that they actually have to do hard work, and then they'll just kind of disappear and be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to pay for like the next few weeks because I'm finding it hard. And I'm like, okay, let's chat through what's hard so I can help you and, maybe make things easier. And they'll go, no, like, I'm just going to stop. And you're like, okay, you've made a commitment to me for 12 weeks. We have a contract. Like, let's work together.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just go, you know what, like, I'm going to tie my losses. You're obviously someone that's not committed here. Take your money, go. And I've learned that rather than trying to chase people that aren't actually there. But at the same time, sign up with an online coach. Like, number one, know what you're getting, know what you have to do, and don't expect that everything is going to be spoon fed to you. And just respect people's time, much like any other business. I think that sometimes people don't see it as your full-time job, and they're kind of just like, oh, it's cool, like, I'll pay you in a month, I'll, do this and that happened more when I first started. I was a lot more relaxed with people. I was like, yeah, it's cool, chuck it through into my bank account. Now it's like debits, payment plans, all of that. So you just got to be smart in how you structure it so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot and you don't have people take advantage of you. And you respect yourself enough to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're the main ones. But other than that, we fucking love our jobs. I can't imagine doing anything else.
I know. I was actually talking to someone about this the other day because I was having a bit of a moment where I was like, I don't want to do this Instagram thing anymore. I wish, like, I was genuinely at one point considering deleting my Instagram because I just was finding it really overwhelming. And I was like, I just don't want to do it. Yeah. And then she was like, well, what would you do with your job? Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't even know what I would do. Like, if I didn't have Instagram, I probably wouldn't get the leads. And then I would probably have to get like a real job that I leave the house and go to. And I was like, I don't even know what I would do. Like, I don't know if I'm as good at anything else as I am at this. So it's like, I'm lucky that I get to do something that I love and that I personally think I'm great at. So, I think we're really fortunate, and sometimes, there are cons, but
much like with any job,
Yeah. And I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
Absolutely. They outweigh them tenfold, and I would do it, day in, day out. And the way I always think about it is, you know what? There is people out there with jobs that they hate much more than I have a few little cons in my week.
Yeah.
Things like, because, and you also are going to be in industries where you have, we deal with maybe one challenging client or one toxic client amongst 100, and in any job, it's the same. If you're a physio, if you're a doctor, you're going to have those painful clients that just aren't a good fit. And I think I used to take that personally and be like, oh, there must be something wrong with me as a coach because I can't fix this or I can't get them to change. And now I've realized, no, like, there's just some people that are just not ready to change, and that's okay. Yeah. And I think not taking things personally as a coach is something that is hard to do, but is something that's really important for your own sanity.
I think I struggled with that a little bit initially. Like when people don't want to continue on, I used to be really like, am I doing something wrong? Or they'd like go to another coach and I'd see on social media that they're part of another team. And I'm like, oh, what did I do wrong? Yeah. But, that's just the nature of people. And I think like people can be fickle, and, I might not be the best coach for every single client. My approach doesn't work for everyone. But, then I get an extra bit of satisfaction when I see them with another coach, and then they come back to me and I'm like, welcome back, friend.
Welcome back. Now, don't ever leave.
Yeah.
But it is like, I've had that numerous times, especially with comp prep. I've actually had a lot of people that will come to me and ask if I'll prep them, and I'll say they need to wait longer to get on stage and that their metabolism's in a bad place and that their health isn't right. And then they go to someone else who does a 10-week prep with them, and then they come back 2 years later and they've gained 20 kilos. And they're like, fix me now. And then they end up being an amazing client because they're like, fuck, I should have listened to you before.
Yeah, I think they value you more when that happens. I think people appreciate what you'll do for them when they've had a shit coach. Not that I wish a shit coach upon anyone, but I think
sometimes it's interesting to go through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's funny, I was teasing some of my young girls that get coached by me. I've got a couple at the moment who are like kind of 20 and 19, and they were talking about like their macros getting low, and they're on like 1,700 calories or something, prepping. And a few of the other girls commented like, you've never had a bad coach before, because this is not bad. Like, Alice had you on 2,500 in your off season, like, and you're bitching, like, pull your head. Sort of thing. But I do think it's funny. And one of my other clients who I've had for 7 years, and one of my kind of, my queens in the group, Amy, she was with me from day dot. She met me in the gym. I was PTing. I was her first ever coach. So her whole experience for 7 years has been positive. But I am so thankful to clients like that, because she's never left. She could have left and gone to another coach and thought maybe there's someone better out there. You know what I mean? Like, but she never has done that. She's always trusted, well, she's got me the result I want, so I'm going to stick with her. And I value every client who is loyal to me if I have gotten them a result and helped them, and I'm sure you're the same. So I think any of my clients listening to this, like, I want to give a shout out to you, and I'm sure Sami will do one too. As much as we have talked about some of the cons, we are so thankful for the people that are loyal, because it is our job and our career, but it also is something that makes us truly happy. So thank you, amazing clients. Thank you, Sami. You want to do a little wrap up?
Well, I just want to thank my clients too, because you know what? Let's add a pro that some of my clients are actually some of my best friends now, which is really cool to be able to meet up with clients, especially from interstate, and build bonds with them. And now I have a lot of personal conversations with them because, you know, we've kind of forged a friendship based on business initially. And I think that's also really nice, is that, you know, it also opens yourself up to more friendships and, you know, cool little meetings and things like that. So thanks to all of my clients, but especially the ones that, you know, I would consider to be a friend and they know who they are. And it's just really nice to have a little team that, you know, we all support each other. And if they see that I'm down, they'll check up on me. And I'm like, this is so cute.
I know. I get weirded out when they do that. Like, sometimes they walk up and they'll be like, how are you doing? And I'm like,
I'm like, what? That's my job.
But that is so nice when clients do make an effort to ask you how you are, because they don't have to do that. They're paying you to be there for them. And if they go out of their way, and I've got some clients who I'm like you, I will go for a walk with them on the weekend or catch up with them for coffee. We don't talk about coaching. Like, we might talk about fitness or whatever, but they're the sort of clients that respect me enough to go, I'm not going to ask Alice 100 questions about my diet right now, because we're hanging out as friends. And you know, and they also still don't ask for discounts because they're a friend. They still respect. And a lot of the time, if clients have been with me for 7 years, I do give them discounts for loyalty. But, like, they never ask for it. I'm just like, look, pay me less. You've been with me for years. You're always talking about me. I'm always getting referrals from you. After those clients that are looking after you is a big part of business. And I'm truly thankful for the friendships that I formed. You know, some of these girls will probably be like at my wedding and some of my bridesmaids, you know, like, it's crazy what can happen because you're associating yourself with people that are interested in similar things to you. So it's easy to connect with people. And so as I get a client inquiry and I'm like, we're going to be best friends. Like,
I know, I get that all the time. Like, if they answer their questionnaire with like little jokes, I'm like, I like you already. I actually had one. When did she start? Like March or April or something. I don't know. It's almost 6 months ago now. And I remember like her questionnaire just made me laugh. And now like I'm like obsessed. Like I look forward to her check-ins. I love hearing from her during the week. And if I've like posted something that I've, you know, sounded a little sad on social media, she'll just like private message me and be like, are you okay? I just wanted to check up on you. And, you know, I love that. I think that's so sweet that, you know, we have the ability to create these bonds with our clients, and that we can kind of, I mean, sometimes you don't want to cross that line between
it is
a client and a friend, but, you know, I think it's great that we have clients that care about us so much. And it obviously means we're doing a good job.
And I think it's important to have fun with your clients, because at the end of the day, like, you want the process to be fun. So even clients listening, you know, it's okay to joke with us. It's okay to muck around. Like, that makes our job more fun, less pressure, all of those things. And you're going to have your hard times and we're going to help you through that. But at the same time, we want to celebrate your wins as well in life and personal. You know, when one of my clients gets a promotion or a new job or a birthday, like, we want to talk about it rather than
exactly.
It's just health and fitness, because health and fitness at the end of the day affects a lot of other things in your life, and vice versa. If you have a shit day at work, you don't want to go to the gym. So it's kind of like important to have that balance. But
anyway, for sure.
We have been going for a very long time. So all I want you to do to summarize is wrap up, tell everyone where they can get in contact with you if they don't already follow you, and any coaching and stuff like that.
My Instagram is now Sami Rose Fitness, 1M. It was previously just Sami Rose, but I've tried to make it a little more business. So Sami Rose Fitness is my Instagram. My website is samirosefitness.com. Pretty easy. There is a link in my Instagram to get directly to my website. So I generally take inquiries via email, not DM, please. And I do have my next 8-week challenge coming up on September 17th. So if anyone does want to join my team, if you're more of a lifestyle client, then I would love to have you on board. But that's where they can find me and follow me if they wish to.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I know you were a little nervous. Your first ever podcast. How did
I know. I think you made it so much easier. This was great. This was just like chatting to a pal.
Exactly. And that's how it should be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very long episode. I'm probably going to leave it all in. Why the fuck not? So
wow, that was like nearly 2 hours. We can chat.
I'm not chopping anything out except for me running off to the toilet. So You know, I got a small bladder. But thank you so much, Sami. We're going to go wrap up now. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have you on again soon. I mean, you can collaborate on some things in the future.
Yeah.
And thank you for being an awesome
Yes, please.
client too.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Like when I was writing my little post today telling people that you were coaching me, I was like, I can't wait because I actually am like so stoked to be part of your team. So thanks for having me.
I can't wait to see you when I'm over for comp. But and yeah,
yes.
soon. And thank you so much for listening to this episode, guys. Really appreciate it. And we will be back next week. Me and Sean are going to be talking contest prep, all of the mindset related to comp preps. That's going to be a good one. And thank you, Sami. I will chat to you very soon.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.